One is that start your game with either e4 or d4 pawn. And this is said by Mr. Lasker, who was world champion for 27 years. Now a lot of different theories are evolved and there are exceptions also, but he insisted on playing by e4 or e5. Now this is a game played by Paul Morphy. Say he plays e4 and the opponent is making some odd moves. So he played h6. He plays d4. So e4, d4 both he plays. Opponent again plays a5 and then his big bishop. Now we come to the second principle, which is try not to move the same piece again and again. Do not move the same piece again and again. In fact, not for the second time also. And Alekhine defense is a little exception for that, but it's after all developed by Alekhine world champion. So just see the game here. Plays e4, then plays knight to f6, which is Alekhine defense. Now he threatens the knight with the pawn. Knight moves to e4. Again he threatens the knight. So if you have to move, you have to move very clearly. You have to study the Alekhine defense, how the knight is moved. Now here he has moved in such a way that finally the knight is trapped and there is no development. He's just moving knight all the time. It's not developing anything. So threatens the knight with the bishop. Move the knight back to e4. Threatens with white bishop. Supports the knight. It threatens with the pawn and that knight is gone. That knight is no longer, cannot move anywhere now. So this you should avoid, moving the piece again and again. Now third principle is that do not develop the knight to the inactive position. You know, as we go towards the center, most of the pieces except rook, they attack more and more or threaten more and more squares. So don't develop the knight to a square where it cannot threaten more this thing, like this shown here. Now it plays with d4. And that is correctly developed knight. It's in active position. It's already developed on d2, which is a little inactive, but totally inactive will be developing your knight to like h3. You're totally inactive. See, now this is a checkmate situation. So white has developed the knight wrongly here to d2. Now the fourth principle is that connect the rooks. Connect the rooks. You are given the castling facility to, in fact, connect the rooks. The game carp out with something, somebody. So far the rooks are not connected, both. Now we move the bishop and the rooks are connected now. These two white rooks are connected. So this, you should ensure in your game that your rooks are connected. And this is created also a battery of rook and queen. That is also good. But if you move the bishop, then there will be a threat to the queen. Now the fifth principle is, as far as possible, you develop your pieces with a threat to opponent's piece. You see how pieces are developed into this uh, modern defense. Paul Murphy again is playing white. Plays e4, e5, gives a threat to the other piece. Actually, pawn is not called development, but this is a gambit he is giving, king's gambit. Giving a threat to the black pawn. Again he is giving a threat to the white pawn. See, this bishop is developed, giving a threat to the king. There is nothing to support the bishop. Push the pawn there. Takes the pawn, moves the bishop, and giving a threat to f7 again. Now black is giving a threat to the king. I was going fast. Just want you to know that try to develop your pieces with a threat. Now the sixth principle is develop your knight before the bishop. Actually, exception is bishop opening where you develop the bishop first. But normally try to develop your knight first and then bishop. Black has taken out the knight. Now he has taken the bishop first. Bishop before the knight. White has taken. Develop bishop first. Now see how he gets stuck up. Gives a check to the king here. And that bishop is gone now. You remove the check and the bishop is gone. So you should always develop your. I come to the seventh principle, which is make less movements of the pawns. Actually, exception is the sniper attack where you move the pawns more. I would say this game what has happened. Again, Paul Morphy is playing black. So white is moving more pawns, is more see. So that is not good actually. And knight also inactive position has developed. So instead of moving pawns, you should try to develop the pieces first and then move the pawns. Now the eighth principle is do not take out the queen early. It may get trapped. Exception is of course Scandinavian defense, and sometimes in Karokan you take out the queen early. So let's see this game. E4, E5, knight F3. Knight C6. Scotch. And he's taken out the queen here. Black has taken out the queen. I wants to take the pawn there on E4. Knight supports the pawn. Black takes out the knight. White puts the knight on F5. Well, see now maybe, see it's got trapped now. Queen has got trapped. So as far as possible, don't take out the queen early. Ninth principle is castle as soon as possible and mostly at the king side. Sometimes it is difficult to castle also, sometimes you have to castle at the queen side also. But try as far as possible to castle at the, this is Petrov defense. Takes the knight. Both are ready for castle and white has castled. At the king side. Black is not castled. Again, Paul Morphy is playing white. And see, because he has not castled, Morphy finally checkmated the black. The 10th principle, which is try to control the center of the board. Controlling center of the board is very important in playing. This again, Paul Morphy is playing white. So with that marker, I'm saying that you must be knowing which center squares are there. I, now he's trying to deviate black's pawn from the center, giving a gambit. So similarly, queen's pawn gambit also is there, which is similar, that distract the opponent's pawn from the center. Is accepted. So white has a good control over the center. This king gambit is little difficult game. If you play it correctly, good. 11th principle is avoid double pawns. Sometimes the double pawns may not harm, but generally they harm you. See, black, this pawn has become double because you capture this pawn on the D file as doubled. So they do not support each other, no, because it becomes double. See, it's taken the pawn and it's become double pawn. Instead, you should have moved the pawn here to C6 or kept it as it is there. There are a lot of cares you have to take while playing, but this is the principal major cares. Thank you for watching.